Before we begin today, a brief content warning. Today we're discussing Season 1, Episode 7 of Twin Peaks, otherwise known as The Last Evening. This episode contains references to sexual assault and suicide. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Things Are Getting Strange, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kim.
I don't think we have any new.
No, I've got nothing this week.
All I can think of is the thing I missed out last week, which was that Ryan Coogler, in his bid to revitalise the X-Files, relaunch the X-Files, whatever's going to happen to it, has had an extensive Zoom conversation with Vince Gilligan. So that's kind of interesting.
You mean one of their few good writers?
Yes, one of the ones who went on to bigger, better things. And
consistently did write good episodes as well.
But anyway, that's the only interesting other thing we've got in the X-Files of late. So we can zoom straight off to the Pacific Northwest, which may or may not have a port. We're still going to keep track of this. So this is The Last Evening, written and directed by Mark Frost, and broadcast on the 23rd of May 1990. So, two further cast members. So this is one I kind of did foreshadowing for, if you remember. So Eric DeRay is Leo Johnson. He was in Silent Night, Deadly Night 3.
I can't believe they made a 2.
Yep. He's obviously going to show up in Firewalk with Me. He was in Critters 4.
I can't remember.
Yep.
I'm sure he was.
Starship Troopers.
I don't remember him that either.
He's apparently the medic. I can't remember which medic he is in Starship Troopers, but he's in there somewhere.
Okay.
Absolutely bafflingly, he's a dub actor in Nier Under 7, an anime, which generally you only know about if you follow the designer for Lane. Serial Experiments Lane, who also did Hyben and Renmei.
Okay.
So, shocking thing, he is not in Phantasmagoria. That is not him.
It isn't?
It is not him.
I always thought that was him.
Nope, that is someone else entirely different. He looks exactly like Leo Johnson, but that is not Eric DeRay.
Oh, wow, I was sure that was him in Phantasmagoria.
So was I, but I did double and triple check this. I can't remember the name of the actor, but her husband in Phantasmagoria is connected to someone else.
I stand corrected.
Now, the interesting part of why he may be Leo Johnson. There is a reason for this. He is the son of an actor who doesn't have any bearing on this, but also of Joanna Ray. She is a frequent collaborator with David Lynch.
Oh, okay.
So I've mentioned before that
you're going with nepotism again.
And I think that's the reason why he's in the series, because by all accounts, he probably shouldn't be Leo Johnson. Anyway, also we have Kimmy Robertson, who is Lucy.
Okay.
Who's in too much stuff again. And also did some stupid things, it turns out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But first, she was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Did not remember that one. She's in The Little Mermaid film and TV series.
As who?
In the film, she's one of Ariel's sisters.
Okay.
In the TV series, she's additional voices.
Right, okay.
For a weird Venn diagram, she's in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Who else is in that then?
David Duchovny. Also, it has Gimme Some Money by Spinal Tap on the soundtrack.
Fair enough.
Which is just, that floored me when I encountered that. It's like, you can't use that as a soundtrack. Leprechaun 2.
Oh, yes, she is. Yeah.
Speed 2.
Fair enough.
Stuart Little.
Yep.
Bill and Ted the TV series, where she was Missy. The Simpsons for one episode. Batman the Animated Series for one episode. And The Tick, the animation.
Oh, the animation. Cool.
Right, so the controversy things, because this is the problem of reading Wikipedia articles beyond the main thing, is she... I don't know how much you know about this. I barely knew about this going on, but do you know who Drake Bell is?
No.
Okay, so this is Drake and Josh, one of the Nickelodeon TV series.
Okay.
It's a whole mess with some sexual assault, because there's a guy called Brian Peck who was a voice coach who was convicted of sexually assaulting Drake Bell when he was a teenager.
Oh, that's horrible.
Absolutely horrible. Kimmy Robinson, in a moment that resulted in her deleting her Instagram, wrote a letter in 2004 after he'd been charged with 11 counts of lewd sexual conduct. She called Drake Bell an overtly gay, oversexed person and believed that he had pressured Peck, who was 40, to his 14 or 15, into the relationship.
Oh, of course, children are known for doing that.
Yeah. And this came up before the recent documentary of Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, which got into the Nickelodeon production block turned out to be extremely dubious in places. A lot of
I've
very
heard
weird
similar about those Disney Kids things from the 90s too.
Yeah, but specifically the iCarly Victorious cross-section was really messed up, it turns out. So, a kind of pall on Lucy, unfortunately.
Not her finest hour.
No. On that lovely note, would you like to tell us about, what the hell is this one called?
The Last Evening.
The Last Evening, which is by far from the last episode of this series.
Well, it's the last episode of this series.
This season, yeah.
Yeah. Shall I begin with the Log Lady's introduction for this one?
Yes, please.
A drunken man walks in a way that is quite impossible for a sober man to imitate, and vice versa. An evil man has a way, no matter how clever. To the trained eye, his way will show itself. Am I being too secretive? No.
Sorry.
Are you not even going to let me get through this?
I'll keep going, but I was just, it's like, thanks, Margaret.
Am I being too secretive? No. One can never answer questions at the wrong moment. Life, like music, has a rhythm. This particular song will end with 3 sharp sounds, like deathly drum beats.
The more I hear of these, the more I just can't help but think of just... I never looked, but the reports of what David Lynch's Twitter was like, it's like, this is his Twitter feed, isn't it?
She's not wrong, as we'll get to in the description, it does end with 3 sharp sounds this episode.
Oh, it's true. It's still just, it's kind of the least logical way of getting to that conclusion. Anyway, the events.
So, sorry, this might not quite be chronological. Using Wikipedia, I'm trying to group it together a bit so it makes more sense. Because this episode did jump around quite a lot. Even for Twin Peaks.
There's a lot going on this time.
Okay, so we open where we left off last time with Dr. Jacoby being lured away from his home so James Hurley and Donna Hayward can break in and search the place. They, on looking around, manage to find the coconut, which contains the half of the locket that Jacoby took right at the start of the series, and a tape from Laura, which they later play in front of Madeline and learn about her relationship with the man in the red Corvette. Meanwhile, Dr. Jacoby has reached the gazebo and is distracted by Madeline, who's still wearing the blonde wig he believes is Laura Palmer. He's then assaulted from behind by a figure wearing a ski mask, and unfortunately has a heart attack as a result of this. Meanwhile, Cooper and Big Ed Hurley are undercover still at One-Eyed Jack's, the brothel-stroke-casino over the border. Cooper manages to speak to Jock Renault, posing as a drug financier and the person who is one rung of the ladder above Leo Johnson. He manages to win over Renault's trust, mainly with money, and gets him to both admit that he was present, as was Leo Johnson, on the night that Renette Pulaski was attacked and Laura was killed. He manages, through the use of his money, to get Renault to agree to meet him later that night at a water treatment station. This is all a sting where the police, including Andy and Truman, are ready to take him in. Although Jock manages to grab another policeman's gun and almost shoots Truman during this altercation, Andy, having had his firing range training, manages to non-fatally shoot Renault and therefore save Truman's life. Following this, Renault is taken to hospital where the police officers return back to the police station. Here we learn, after Andy and Lucy have a brief meeting, that Lucy is pregnant, we presume with Andy's child. Andy takes this hard, and Lucy, of course, is not overly happy with this. Meanwhile, Leyland Palmer also shows up at the police station, having learned of the arrest, and begs Truman to confirm to him that Jock is the killer. Truman refuses to do so, of course. However, possibly for the worst, Dr. Hayward does reveal to Leyland Palmer that Jock Renault is in the hospital, and Leyland Palmer makes his way over there. Shelley Johnson is alone in her house when Leo returns, violently assaults her and kidnaps her, driving her out to the sawmill and tying her up along with a rigged incendiary device designed to both set the sawmill on fire, as we previously knew had been planned, and kill Shelley in the process. He then heads off with the intent of killing Bobby Briggs. While this is going on, Josie Packard meets with Hank Jennings and gives him $90,000. It is then revealed that Josie actually paid Hank to serve 18 months in prison. This is the vehicular manslaughter charge he's been put in with, because this ensured that neither of them would be implicated in the death of Josie's husband, who supposedly died in a tragic boating accident, but it's now pretty apparent that the two of them conspiring together actually got him killed. Later in the episode as well, Hank calls Catherine Martell to lure her to the mill. She arrives just in time as the incendiary device explodes. The building is engulfed in flames, and during this time, also, Pete Martell leaps into the burning building in the hope of rescuing Catherine. We do not know for sure if any of them have survived this, although we did see that Catherine did attempt to at least get Shelley out. Leo is not present at the mill in this time. He is attempting to go through with his plan to kill Bobby Briggs. This fails when Hank shoots Leo through the window, saving Bobby and inflicting at least some degree of injury on Leo. We don't know how serious it is at this time. James and Donna also head over to the police station, hoping to give the evidence they found, the tape, to Detective Truman. They are instead met by a very skeptical Cooper. They have discovered, after Bobby called in an anonymous tip about Easy Riders, the bag of cocaine in James's gas tank, and they arrest him as a drug runner. As we reach the end of the episode, the most dramatic parts begin to take place. Following the explosion at the sawmill, we also see that the sale of the Ghostwood project has gone through to the Norwegians, and Audrey awaits the arrival of her suitor in a room in One-Eyed Jack's, and is horrified when she sees via a mirror around the corner that it is her own father. We also see a figure wearing leather gloves arrive at the hospital and smother Jock Renault to death with a pillow. As the camera pans up, we realise this is Leyland Palmer. Finally, Cooper returns to his hotel room in the Great Northern. There is a note waiting for him on the floor, but before he can read it, he receives a call informing him that Leo Johnson has been shot. A knock at the door draws him away from the phone call, and when he opens it, an unseen figure shoots him 3 times in the chest.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to start in a really odd place just because I'd forgotten it was in the episode and it just sort of tickles me.
Okay.
The egorette that works at One-Eyed Jack's.
Oh,
what the hell is going on?
hunchbacked woman kind of wearing a sackcloth.
I know, it's just such a weird image to sort of just have it. She's just stitching this oversized playing card to Audrey's outfit.
But that's what we said previously. It's about having a fairly normal scene with just something eye-catchingly weird in it.
I know, but that was a doozy one. It's one of these. So is she just, they just roll her out for the new girl every time to stitch his playing card on?
Bring out the hag. Yes, master!
Oh, she's just in the back doing laundry. Is she actually called Egorette? But yes, it's just such a very weird, brief, almost blink and miss it moment of strangeness. And I do remember thinking at the time, it's like, Audrey, you have an escape route. The door that this woman has just gone through to get out of this room.
I just love the fact that she picked one of the face cards when it was after Blackie's absolutely rubbish pick a card trick and she drew the Queen of Diamonds, which is eventually stitched on her. But it's like, yes, you've picked 3 of clubs, really?
Well, I imagine everyone sort of gravitates towards the Queen cards, but it's one of those, should we go and revisit the first visit to One-Eyed Jack's and see if the new girl at that point was done up in the same way?
I don't believe she was.
I don't think she was, no. So I think we've come up with this as a more dramatic reveal. We can safely say that white isn't Audrey's colour. We were quite on agreement that black or red would have suited her much better.
Yeah, I get she's the new girl and you have her in the kind of virginal colours.
Yes.
But at the same time, she'd look so good if that ensemble was in red.
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah. But we can safely say that, we start with Audrey for whatever reason, but Audrey has, like, she's stepped foot into the lion's den and out she's now in the jaws of the beast and she's in trouble. Because there's no, well, as a cliffhanger we can say there's no obvious good way this can resolve itself.
I did think it was interesting for duality because Twin Peaks loves duality in the fact that Laura Palmer to the populace is viewed as being this very inherently good, inherently innocent person, and she has this seedy side to her.
Yeah.
Where at the same time, Audrey is kind of viewed as being untrustworthy, but she's actually so young and naive that she's got herself into this situation.
Yes. Well, I think it's a weird mix of, it's because she has that air of confidence and she just exudes the femme fatale feel. I think it's easier to buy into the fact that she's had more experience, and I think this episode is kind of drumming home that maybe she hasn't.
You also, because of the way she presents herself, kind of forget the fact that essentially she's a teenager.
Yes.
She's not some worldly femme fatale.
No.
She is a high school student.
Which is, again, exactly what One Eye Jack seems to be picking on for staffing this brothel.
Yeah.
As far as we can tell, based on the process we've seen run through so far. It's odd they didn't do anything with Audrey sort of noticing that Cooper's on Blackie's monitor. I mean, it's kind of hilarious that Blackie has 2 TV screens, one of which is focused on Dale Cooper, and one is a roulette wheel.
Just on the roulette wheel as well, not the players.
Is that the rigged one, Blackie?
She's not doing a great job, though, because Cooper openly admits that he's counting cards, and this isn't spotted.
That's true. I mean, we've been over how this sting doesn't make a lot of sense, given Big Ed keeps wandering close to Jock Renault, and it's like, no, Ed, other side of the casino, get over there.
Jock isn't bright, though.
Jock is not bright. Well, we can talk about, I don't know where we want to do Jock, because, that's unpleasant. We could do Jock now, I suppose.
That is one of the most uncomfortable sequences so far, is Jock Renault describing what happened in the cabin.
Yes, and I'd forgotten that we got that much of a clear view of it, because Firewalk with Me cuts round this bit. I think we only see the tail end of it. And that's possibly after Jock Renault has passed out as well. But so we have a much clearer idea of what happened that evening. I did think it was interesting that as much as they sort of paid attention to the log lady, none of them seem to be taking the third man thing seriously. Because there's no one's asking about that. Because it's very much on the basis of Jacques Renault's testimony to them, they are convinced Leo Johnson's guilty.
Yeah.
And it's but if you trust the supernatural stuff, the third man is unaccounted for still. We don't know who that is.
And interestingly, Jock didn't mention a third man at all. He didn't even infer there was one.
No, it's no attempt to pass off someone else as the guilty party. But yeah, it's kind of, we haven't got to Jacques Renault, so I don't know if you've seen him or anything else, but it's such a incredible, horrible turn the guy's doing. He's really good at this, being the most loathsome character.
The people playing the Renault brothers were actually pretty heavily criticised at the time because their French accents are atrocious. But I do think he's actually a very good casting choice. I mean, fair enough, the accent is atrocious, but he's just got this kind of thuggish, unintelligent, yet utterly malevolent feel to him.
Yeah. I don't think we can quite get a grip on why Laura Palmer, as we know her, would have even a second to do with him, but Laura Palmer's life is very complicated and we don't understand the ins and outs of it anyway. So I'm not sure we have a good reason why she gives him the time of day, but she does. But yes, it's all absolutely an astonishing, loathsome performance, and Cooper runs rings around him because, of course, Cooper does. And it's kind of interesting that Leo isn't letting information through because we know full well who has to be funding this operation, which has to be Ben Horn, obviously. Doesn't we know why Ben Horn wants to run drugs into Twin Peaks, but he does for whatever reason, on top of everything else. But yeah, Cooper does such a good job of sort of, he knows enough to make Jacques give up everything else. It's great sort of, it feels like an actual police FBI procedural thing here, where you sort of just get someone to confess things because you know enough to prod them in the right direction. And yeah, and also Jacques does give up when he's caught. And presumably, I reckon that given he tried to shoot Truman, he's going to confess everything else now to try and lighten his sentence, given he can't possibly get out of this.
I mean, yeah, that's about all I can say about that one. They do know that basically, I think it's the fact that they've got Jacques Renault's number. They know he's of low intelligence. They know now that if they put pressure on him, he will squeal. Because he technically already has.
Yes, he's given him basically everything he knows. He's not holding much back at this point, if anything.
And as Cooper points out, he doesn't think he's lying because he's really got no reason to lie at this point.
No. I mean, it's like he can say enough to implicate Leo, but can't say definitively because he just swears blind he knows nothing about the train car, which is still the oddest detail of that night.
Yes, it does seem strange that there is another location and that they didn't just assault the girls in the cabin and that was it.
I mean, really, to Cooper, that should make him more curious about the third man because there's no good reason why Leo would then take them somewhere else.
No.
But there, again, I think you come back to the whole, it's the different writers with different interpretations, and Mark Frost came from more of a police procedural place, so he's probably thinking in terms of how you would do that in that kind of...
We do know, because I think it came up a couple of episodes as well, that all these episodes were written sequentially as well.
Yeah.
So everyone is just building off what the last writer has done.
Yeah, but for some of the third man has been kind of just brushed aside for now. Though we know they haven't forgotten it, because it is instrumental to how everything works, but we're just not focusing on it yet.
I guess you can also go down the deduction of the third man being alive and well in the whoever it is that assaults Dr. Jacoby, because both Leo and Jox are kind of tied up in other events during this very short time. So that could well be your third man.
It could be our third man. I still do object a little bit to jump to the conclusion that has to be the third man. Just on the grounds of it's a hell of a leap for him to have found that situation to spy on in that short span of time.
I think we've got a lot of questions there. It should be noted, I did do a Google search to try and find out who it is in that balaclava.
Yes.
If it was going to be a spoiler, I wouldn't have said it, but nobody actually knows. That person is uncredited. No one has ever revealed who is actually that actor doing it, whether it is someone recognisable or just an extra.
Yes, because I was very curious for that, because it makes me think of The Usual Suspects.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Are you about to spoil The Usual Suspects?
I possibly am, but we'll go. It's quite. Most people know how Usual Suspects works.
Okay, just a pre-warner. If you don't, skip forward a couple of minutes now.
Yeah, we could get into the different interpretations these days because other people have taken the conclusion to task and said, actually, there's these four other people who could be Kaiser Soze. One of which is Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah, I think Kobayashi is the obvious other one who could be him.
Yeah, but there are other ones. Anyway, the conclusion most people come to is that Kevin Spacey is in fact Kaiser Soze. Verbal Kint is the actual instrumental person in this. Some of what he told the detective is true, and that has to be the sequences that you don't see without his voiceover.
Yes.
Because you can't trust what he's saying directly. It's a very big question of how much of the film happened. Why I bring this up, though, is you see Kaiser Soze for sure on screen a few times in flashback.
Yes.
And there was a making of I saw about Usual Suspects where they said the shots you see of Kaiser Soze are different members of the cast each time. So it's like Gabriel Byrne's walk is the feet of Kaiser Soze. Kevin Spacey is the silhouette smoking and the voice. And I'm pretty sure there was someone else did one other bit. But basically there are a few different people playing Kaiser Soze in one scene.
Just so you can't definitively say, yes, it is Kevin Spacey.
Yes, because a friend of mine pointed out for Watchmen, the comic, is I won't spoil the solution to this one, but at the start of Watchmen, someone dies and there's a question of who killed them, which is the Joker. Comedian.
The comedian. Yes.
The Joker. The comedian.
Watchmen, if you have never seen or read it, begins with a very violent vigilante called the Comedian being killed and it being made to vaguely look like a suicide as he takes a nosedive out of a building.
Yeah. And
the big mystery of the story is who did do in the Comedian.
Yes. A friend of mine pointed out that you can see someone's shoes as they break down the door. He then pointed out that every single other character wears exactly the same pair of shoes.
Ah, clever.
Yeah, so you can't extrapolate from it. It's that kind of thing. So, to get back to Twin Peaks I would be very curious if they'd ever admit exactly who's in the ski mask, because there's loads of possibilities, and as if certain people you could say, okay, I understand why you've done that, and that's a setup. Other people could be, you didn't know what you were going with this, did you?
We will say, and without spoiling the identity of the killer, Mark Frost did say in the DVD commentary that is intended to be Laura Palmer's killer.
Yes. It's debatable though if it's in the ski mask, because it could be there's so little.
It's so hard to tell, but yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't say either way. Guess we're on Jacoby at this point. We'll look back to Jacques because Jacques has one more thing to do. unfortunately, but we can loop into that later.
Is Jack's one more thing to do be smothered by a pillow?
Yes, but we're going to cover that when we get to someone else. Jacoby is taking his time talking to Maddie, which I thought was an odd choice. He's managed to pull up in complete secrecy.
I actually felt really, really sorry for Jacoby in this scene.
Yes.
He does not deserve this at all.
It is that effect of... I don't think we've ever made this comparison before, but is like Laura Palmer like seeing an angel and not Archangel, like a higher level one who's actually going to start frying your brain if you stare at them too long. I can't remember how the hierarchy of angels works. But you know, if you go up a certain level, you as a human can't cope with an angel.
Humans never encounter anything above an archangel, because that's why it's the Archangel Gabriel that comes down.
Exactly.
Which, if you're going with the hierarchy of angels, isn't something that's actually in the Bible. Just to explain, there is a ranking of 9 different levels of angel, and on our scale, if we are, I guess we're moving backwards, archangels are 8th on this hierarchy, and number 1 at the top is seraphim.
Yes. So
basically, the archangels are the lowest rung that can be perceived by a human without killing them on sight due to, the intense glory and us being unable to handle this as mortals. Which is the kind of interesting idea that you think the Archangel Gabriel is important when he appears in the Bible, but he's not. He's actually bottom tier.
It's quite a surprise when you learn about this stuff. There's the joke, isn't there, that goes on online of the biblically accurate angels and biblically accurate anything else. But of all things, Neon Genesis Evangelion has some designs that are more reminiscent of the high-level angels. In actuality, it's kind of odd they actually went with it.
If you actually look into something, I'd recommend something like Dante's Paradiso kind of gets into this and all the rest of it. I'm being very highbrow now. But they're almost incomprehensible when you see them.
The wheels of fire that I'm starting to think of as well.
Wheels of fire that are covered with eyes and eyes on their wings and all the rest of it. And you have the ones that sit at the throne of God, which are different beasts, again, with the multiple eyed wings and all the rest of it. You get into really, really weird iconography as you move up through powers, thrones. I forget all the levels in their principalities. Yeah.
Of all things, Bayonetta gets into this quite a lot, because you have to destroy a lot of these things. My original point, though, was that Jacoby's kind of looking at Laura like she is like the level above Archangel, with the whole, you're not actually meant to see this, it's not doing you any good, but you can't look away from her.
But it's the fact that Jacoby arrives there believing that this is all a scam somehow, which it is. But it's the way that he his resolve crumbles when she turns around and he realises, oh, hell, this is Laura Palmer. And his belief system is just shattered. And then he's clubbed from behind.
Sadly for Jacoby. He's still alive. We can go with that one. It does look like he was dying at one point, but no, he is still with us.
But again, it's really unfair to him. And it's the fact that it's essentially 3 teenagers playing detective have got this kind of poor, seemingly innocent man clubbed like this.
Yeah, and had a heart attack in the middle of nowhere, and it's a good thing someone found him, however they did.
Yeah.
We don't know who got that in.
No.
I suppose we could go over to James Donner and Maddie. Maddie doesn't get to do much.
She gets to listen to a tape.
A tape of Laura Palmer, not exactly confessing to being sexually active, but certainly implying that she's sleeping around. And her new beau is a man in a red Corvette, so everything just ties back into Leo, but we're pretty sure Leo isn't the guilty party here. He's probably capable of it, but anyway. And Donna and James is slightly, again, I think it's an implication of the one weird thing in a scene in Twin Peaks, is Donna presses a button and changes seagull and sea sound noises into Hawaiian music. It's just, Jacoby, why is this here?
It's kind of fitting with his... I actually quite like his sort of, I don't know what you call it, tiki bar sort of setup he's got there.
Oh, true, but you can just have a stereo system with speakers and do this. You didn't have to have a weird contraption on the wall. But they do at least find the coconut, so they have the last tape Laura Palmer made, which, other than implicating Leo, doesn't give you anything. And the locket, which neither of us can remember if anything happens to that thing now. I'm really not sure.
But the big thing with their plot in this episode is, of course, James being arrested because they found that remarkably clean bag of cocaine in the gas tank that Bobby planted last time.
Yeah, I do kind of feel that Cooper's reaction, it feels like there's a subplot missing. Like that he's asked James to do other things and James has screwed up a few times.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel quite organic, like it's too
when
abrupt.
Cooper says something like, he He says something to the effect of, I wanted to trust you, or something like that in there.
It's like, you haven't talked to him since like episode 2.
And he's a bookhouse boy, which probably gives him some credence.
No, sorry, that's the last one. When they had Giacomo's brother, that's the last time he talked to James. And they've just not interacted since then. Unless they talked at the funeral, but it just feels like it's something that should...
I also feel that someone as bright as Cooper, with Cooper's level insights, would probably see that there was something a bit dodgy about this random unnamed person claiming to be Leo Johnson calling in and making an Easy Rider reference.
Yeah, I do not remember, but I would be surprised if this doesn't get overturned pretty quickly next season.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to hang on. This is not going to hang on to
It just feels weak.
I think it's just in aid of doing a cliffhanger, and we wanted to throw everything we could at it. Because I'm sure there's a comment somewhere that they didn't know what season 2 of Twin Peaks would look like, so they threw everything into the end of season 1.
And viewing figures were really up for this episode, so it worked. Yeah. It was something like 12% of Americans with TV sets were watching this, which is quite staggering.
It is, but how many people thought they're going to tell you who killed Laura Palmer and said, oh, so we still don't know.
Yeah, true. I'm just going to pop it in here because I forgot to put it in my summary. But Nadine is the other one I just want to bring up. I totally forgot about Nadine.
Somehow.
In Doc Howard's busiest evening, I think. So Nadine, we see her seemingly preparing a picnic while wearing what looks to be a prom dress.
Yes.
And then taking a massive overdose, which she's found, and she's evidently still alive when Big Ed finds her because he calls for an ambulance, but we don't find out what happens to her beyond that.
No.
So this is the aftermath of her patent being overthrown, I presume, in the previous episode.
Yeah. So I'll put in Nadine, because we'll come back to her in a second, but we'll just finish off with James and Donna and go.
Yeah.
Donna, I don't think we've got much to say other than she's being a supportive girlfriend. James, though, is the boy, what's happened to his psyche anymore? Because he's just heard Laura Palmer say, oh, James is lovely. He's so dense.
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not. But also, I've been cheating on Bobby with James, and also with a man in a red Corvette.
It's kind of interesting it doesn't linger on poor old James. It's
I think they don't care about James.
Oh, James, you've just discovered your girlfriend's been repeatedly cheating on you with different people and she thinks you're a moron. Anyway.
Oh, hi, Maddie. We know you just came in town for a funeral and that your cousin had a lot of secrets.
I love that they play this tape with Doc Hayward in the next room as well.
He was on a phone call, it's fine.
Yeah, you can't hear anything if it's through a wall.
I think it's economics of filming is the fact that you need to have specify that Hayward is going off to do some medical thing. We know it's Jacoby he's going to treat.
Yeah, I discovered something interesting about the sets for Twin Peaks while I was reading up for this week's episode.
Oh, yeah?
But it's the ones that are done on a soundstage, which I'm assuming are things like the hospital set and stuff like that.
I think most of the interiors are like
but they're actually constructed as proper buildings, so they have ceilings and they've also got corridors leading to them and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is unusual because, a soundstage is normally like a building cut in half so you can film it.
It's like a theatrical set usually.
Yeah, it's more like a set on a stage. But it was so they could do these long takes kind of following people through hallways and stuff like that.
See, Alien was done very similar. Like the interior of the Nostromo is designed as an actual spaceship because then it gives it a look that you don't get other places.
Well, I'm on the set dressing as well. I also learned, we've talked before about the red hues in Twin Peaks, and everything's tinted red to give it that very sharp contrast between the kind of warmer colours and the black. The exceptions are the police officers are always done in very pale earth tones, so they contrast with the kind of weird red Twin Peaks colouring.
Okay.
And the interior of certain houses, including the Hayward home,
I
is also lit very warmly to make it very homely and give it a completely different feel to the surreal, harsh red Twin Peaks kind of look, like you see in One-Eyed Jacks, for example.
Yeah, I'll say, should we dwell on that a minute? Because you noticed it in this episode, and I've noticed it in a few other ones, is so many places in this town have red drapes. It's such a common feature.
You see it in this episode when the Norwegians are signing... Are they Norwegian or Icelandic? I can't remember at this stage.
Norwegian. They were Icelandic originally.
Yeah, now they're Norwegian. When they're signing the things and it's the same red drapes behind them.
Or is it the way around? Whichever way it is.
I just had a dim feeling Cooper calls them Icelandic at the end.
He might do. I think one group was originally, and this is the replacement group. Functionally, they're the same character. But yes, as much as it really works for the fact that One-Eyed Jacks has the red drapery to make the otherworldly thing, we've got the Red Room, obviously, and we've got Jacques' cabin. Cooper saying, "Oh look, red drapes, it must be at Jacques' cabin," becomes increasingly less reliable the more locations have red drapes in them. You can't assume that's anywhere. That could be a one-eyed Jack they took those photos.
True.
Except Jacques does say that's where the photos were taken for Fleshworld. It just kind of
And the minor bird also kind of...
Yeah. I mean, that's also an interesting thing for Jacques of it just sort of... It really is like sort of piecing out every sort of question you have for season 1 except for who killed Laura Palmer.
Yeah.
And what the gum you like comes back in style, because we can't answer that one. Because no one knows what to do with that.
True. I think that's maybe the only bit of the clue that we haven't had some kind of solution for yet.
I remain certain that everyone else, the writers room are still saying, okay, we've got this one, we've got this one. What are we doing with this? Why did you put this in? This is terrible.
Keep your pin in it, it becomes relevant.
I know it does. It becomes relevant in the, well, we have to answer it, but what? Is that our answer? Is that the best we've got? We'll do Nadine.
Poor Nadine.
Poor Nadine. I don't know what more to say about it other than I think this whole thing hit her harder than we would have thought it would have done. I'd forgotten this was why she takes the turn she does.
I feel it's maybe the fact that Big Ed is out of commission because he's helping Cooper with the sting.
Yeah.
For much of this episode, that maybe it was something that he could have noticed and maybe prevented if he'd been present.
Yeah.
No, of course not making it Big Ed's fault.
No.
But Nadine wasn't in a good place anyway and has just been left to her own devices and inside her own head, essentially.
It's true. It is odd that she's put so much stock into this one thing.
But that's kind of... she's all or nothing anyway.
She is, admittedly.
We do point out the fact that Nadine... I think we mentioned it a couple of episodes ago. When Big Ed was injured in hospital and she was still fixated on her drapes.
Yes.
You've whipped out the one thing she had going in her life, essentially. Because other than that, she's got a kind of somewhat absent husband who fancies someone else.
Yeah, and thanks to some inexplicable school screw-up where the two of them split up. In ways we can't... It presumably made sense at the time, but with distance it's like, Norma, what were you thinking?
So I googled it, and I read that the breakup was actually because Norma cheated on Ed with Hank.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where or if that's ever mentioned in the series, because I don't think it's been said yet.
Yeah, a cliche sort of extrapolation you can put it, it's like Ed is the solid, dependable boyfriend, and Hank is the dangerous bad boy who's more alluring.
Ah, yes, and we all know that women go for dangerous bad boys all the time.
In fiction, yes. Especially in 80s, 90s soap opera, this is exactly the kind of thing.
It's kind of the incel interpretation that women like bad boys, though.
But this is pop culture was at the time, that this is exactly the plot you expect to follow.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's accurate, I'm saying this is what you'd expect. This is like Invitation to Love would do. We'll talk about Invitation to Love a little bit, because there's not much of it in a bit, but...
Well, you see it in all kind of sitcom-y things, this sort of thing, though. It's like Buffy, Angel or Spike.
Yes. Yeah. Although, to be fair, Buffy was really into Angel until Angel left to have his own TV series. Then she got together with Spike for dubious reasons.
Edward or Jacob?
Neither. There's a joke in the Elementary series, the American Sherlock one, where Sherlock gets basically anonymous from, internet fame.
Okay, yeah.
To do various things for him. And they keep asking him to do increasingly strange things. And one of them is he's got to go to a Twilight convention and read out this essay about how polyamory is clearly the best solution to this in the lobby. And it's just, it don't go any further. There is such a delightful image of him having to go and do this.
Yeah.
To enraged Twilight fans.
I'm sure some of them must be into that.
Not enough. Based on my interaction with fandom, this isn't... People... They hate it when you suggest this as a solution, even though I understand in human relationships it's not the logical one, but in terms of fictional couples, far more simple. Just remove the complication and just have them get together. They're all compatible with each other anyway. We've wandered off the point. Nadine, it's a dramatic end for her at this point, but as far as we know, she's still alive. We do know she's not leaving the cast, so she's fine-ish. Put a pin in that, we're going to have to come back to Nadine later. We have things. Leo, we should probably talk about Leo.
You could probably get Hank in there as well.
We could. to...
Should we start moving into the,
The mill.
explosive sawmill plot?
We should. I'll start with Leo just because it's... Leo, you've gone off the deep end. I mean, you're already off the deep end, but do you not think people are going to say, these dental records are Shelley Johnson's dental records? Why was she at the mill, a place she doesn't go to and has no reason to go to? Leo? As a spouse, you're like numero uno on the suspect list. I understand that Leo never isn't the brightest person anyway. I mean, they keep saying Jacques is stupid, but Leo is not that much brighter.
You commented watching it as well of the whole hypocrisy of it's okay if he has affairs, but not if his wife has affairs.
Yeah.
But, that is just, it's not just even literature, it's real life.
I know. But, I mean, it kind of echoes, though, because you've got Leo saying this. And then after the funeral, we noted that Bobby is sobbing into Shelley's arms saying, oh, Laura cheated with James. It's like, Bobby, perspective. You were cheating on her with a woman you're talking to.
But, it's like the real life thing with saying, oh, I'm allowed to have female friends, but you can have no male friends.
Exactly.
This is a kind of abuser mentality as it is.
Yeah, he's just taking it to destructive ends.
But you gotta note the man is quiet as a cat.
Yes, he's stealthy as well.
He can just teleport into rooms.
Yep. But also, as I think as well, the pantomime of how we get Shelley is like one of those, Leo, what are you doing? Don't drag her towel out of reach. You can just grab her when her head's under the tap.
Or take the gun that's right next to her.
Exactly. Leo's really strange.
Mm.
But, so we're burning the mill down. We had a feeling it was tonight, and it is. He's also killing Shelley at the same time, which I suppose, thankfully, he doesn't injure her any more than just tying her up, so...
That we see,
but there's no indication he's done anything else.
No.
It's purely he's going to tie her up and let her burn down. And then he's off to kill Bobby, and he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for Hank, of all people. I do like the inadvertent thing of Leo has to watch his Invitation to Love counterpart die in the same way he currently is.
Just to hammer home, if you haven't figured out already, that the guy in the bandana is Leo
Montana.
Johnson's analog.
Montana is
Is
Leo
he called
Johnson.
Montana?
I'm pretty sure he's called
Right.
Montana. Though, again, we know Leo is down, but not out. And Bobby is okay. And he does a great Leo Johnson impersonation on the phone.
I actually didn't think that was a bad interpretation of him.
No.
I just think nobody in their right mind would believe for a second that Leo Johnson was calling in this tip.
Yeah, of all the people in Twin Peaks now, Hank is... Can Hank teleport? Because he seems to move around very fast in this episode. Because he starts off with Josie, and we get the explanation, because we couldn't remember the manslaughter thing had to be something, and it turns out that kind of not, because the person he killed doesn't matter, but the reason he killed them does, which is an interesting wrinkle we hadn't realised was going to be a thing.
Yeah, so it was all a cover-up to hide the fact that him and Josie do previously have history and have a kind of dead man pact, should we say?
We're not sure quite what the deal, why she went to him in the first place, or how they knew each other or anything.
But the two of them are responsible, and I am using air quotations here, for her husband's accident on the lake.
The boating accident, yes.
Yeah.
And that he got himself put away for 18 months to hide the fact that he actually did his murder.
And in return, she paid him a substantial sum of money.
Yeah. And he wants more, and he's not quiet about the fact he's going to try and blackmail her for the rest of it. I did think, time-wise, I hadn't realised that her husband's death was so recent. I thought it was actually quite a way back. Because 18 months isn't unheard of for her to start hooking up with Truman, but I thought it was a few years back.
She is quite young, though.
I know, it's one of the, I think it's an awkward time frame. It's like, when you stop and think about it, it doesn't quite match up properly.
Mm.
But yeah, 18 months is more recent than I thought. And thank you, Hank, for shooting Leo. I imagine that Bobby knows you did it as well, and I can't remember if that goes anywhere.
Still didn't double tap, though.
He didn't know. Well, Leo, we know is still a member of the cast going into the next season. So
unfortunately,
we know he's still around in whatever capacity. But Hank just keeps appearing in different places, because he's first with Josie, and then he's suddenly with Norma at the diner, trying to be seductive.
And then he's at Leo's cabin.
After calling, presumably from the diner, to Ben Horn to check it's okay to go ahead with it.
Mm.
I do kind of feel that Hank is going to wear it as welcome, given that And I understand why it's happened, but I wonder if this is the thing that when people come out of prison they do, is all Hank will talk about is his time in prison at the moment. And it's like, does anyone really want to hear this? Ever? Given it's dull, monotonous, and I can't help but think of the X-Files episode where the blind woman who can see what her father can see.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the name of the episode, but yeah.
And she spent like 20 years basically in prison because that's the only experience that she can see.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what? Yeah, that's terrible for her, but hearing about it can't be much better. You don't want to hear this stuff, Hank.
Mm.
And yes, I'm sorry your bed was uncomfortable, but no, Norma's not letting you back into hers. Because why would you? He's obviously not a good person.
I think he is actually oddly likable.
He
is a monster. Yeah, it's the whole charisma's probably the word to use it. He's interesting to watch and he's very intense and you're always curious what he's going to do and say. Unlike Leo, who I don't think carries that level of menace.
Well, I think also that links back into the point you made of this high school drama with the whole them and Big Ed, is with that level of charisma, as you can see why this would be appealing to Norma back in the day. This is because Big Ed does not have that kind of charisma to him.
Big Ed's like
dependable,
the boy next door sort of character,
but the boring, dependable, good option.
Where you've got this other guy who's kind of handsome and charming,
lives life on the edge, is, flirting with rebellious against authority, doing all the things you're not meant to do. Again, it's an 80s and 90s trope, but it's one that everyone's going to be very familiar with. It's very soap opera.
Yeah.
We can kind of see why Norma got herself into the situation. Not sure why she married him. Unless it was they get us married Nadine in the interim.
You can also buy Hank with his personality type winning people over. Like when you see him kind of bonding with Shelley in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Because he's very easy to talk to. He's very amiable.
Yeah, again, I think he's like... I've probably not intended to be, but he's kind of like the opposite of Audrey. He's also someone who can fit into a situation like this, but he's not quite as skilled as she is, or not quite as natural at it.
Yeah.
There's always an edge of he's trying to do something, not gracefully integrating himself in.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. I do quite like watching Hank.
Yeah.
You can't really say you like him.
No,
but
he's an
interesting character.
Well, especially as his conversation with Leo previously has basically confirmed that this drug operation Leo was taking over in the interim, so basically he's the drug kingpin or something. Or also has a direct line to Ben Horn that we know of. Ben Horn, I don't think we got much to do with them other than, oh Ben, yes, you might want to go and try it, sample the new girl. You're not going to enjoy this experience any more than she is.
Awkward.
Very awkward. Not a situation you ever think you'd wind up in. And I think this is like, it's got to be one of the aspects of, this is something that a regular soap opera, or the daytime soap operas would, I know, they might flirt with incest as a thing, or maybe, it's a near miss or something. And I know some soap operas after Twin Peaks actually have gone down incest routes and everything. But at the time it was made, that wouldn't be a thing you'd let happen.
As a non-soap opera person, I'm imagining that the kind of plot this would be normally unintended incest.
Yes, if that at all.
Where you have a relationship with someone and you later discover that she's actually your daughter or something like that.
Yeah. As we discussed this slightly briefly earlier, there's a whole lot of anime where there's like the teenage couple hook up and then shock their parents, then get married to each other, and that just becomes the whole horrible situation for them.
It made me think, and it's a comedy-edic take on the same idea, but there is a scene in The American Office, I have to differentiate because we have an English office as well, but where they have an event with a stripper. It might be Angela's bachelorette party.
It is. It's a fun episode, yes.
Where they get a stripper and it's Meredith's son, and yes. She makes him continue.
Well, then starts giving him tips.
Yeah.
So it's increasingly a terrible situation.
But that's what I kept thinking of in this situation.
Yeah.
It's no, do your job.
But I think Twin Peaks, it's definitely a point where Twin Peaks was taking advantage of, it's got a later time slot, it's for a more adult audience. We're going to leave you at a point when there's not a lot of routes out for Audrey. And Ben Horn discovering this is not going to go well for anyone involved in this. So that's one hell of a cliffhanger to leave them on. But Ben Horn has apparently got everything he wanted at this point, given the mill's on fire. He's got the Ghostwood agreement, got whatever financing he needs.
As far as he's aware, Catherine's dead.
As far as Catherine's dead, Leo has at least been shot. He's possibly needs to have words with his assassin about, as you said, double tap. Ben Horn basically seems to be victorious at this point in time. I think, should we talk about Catherine? And Piper Laurie is probably the best actress in the series
by a long shot.
By a long shot, and it's kind of incredible how the last 2 episodes pivot your opinion on Catherine, given she's been pretty much a straight up villain. But ever since Josie has betrayed her and Ben has also betrayed her, she's become more and more sympathetic. She's still pretty much a horrible person, but you actually are more on side with her.
I love any scene which has her and Jack Nance on screen at the same time as well, because the two of them play off each other so well.
They do.
Where you have hapless, well-meaning Pete Martell who just wants to help her and wants her to be happy, and her utterly manipulating that.
Well, yes, and I like that you can't really tell how much of that is going on when she convinces him to help her.
Yeah.
Because I think her expression at the end basically points out that yes, let's just get on with it and everything, but I don't think it's entirely divorced from her true feelings.
Yeah.
But I like the comedy bit of she's demanding answers out of him, and he's just walking around the room, closing the door, just closing the blinds, the people outside just shifting to each vantage point to see what's going on.
Yeah.
That's really sort of nice little business they've got going. It's weirdly nice to see Catherine hit rock bottom, and this is the point she turns to her husband for help.
Yeah.
And it's delightful, but also, it took you this long to get to the person who you're meant to go to?
Who loves her unconditionally as well.
Yes, and has been holding out hope that she's going to come round again.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting they actually clarified more about how the relationship works, because we thought that Pete had the mill, but no, Catherine's family has the mill.
Yeah.
And it does also raise a question about why they haven't divorced, and it's got to be, for whatever reason, he would come off with half of the estate or something, I think is the only reason why they wouldn't do it.
I have no idea. It could just be the fact that he adores her, basically.
It could be.
They have this very henpecked relationship, but when it comes to it, he does deeply, deeply love her.
Yes. Even though he probably shouldn't at this point.
No.
But we do love the two of them as a couple in this episode. It's actually really nice. And then when they're like raiding that library, and Pete, bless his heart, cannot keep to what the plan is.
Yeah.
And just starts looking through his yearbook.
But it's ultimately at the end as well, when the mill burns down and he realises Catherine's inside. All he does is put on some goggles, grab a fire extinguisher and go bursting in there to save her.
Yeah. It's very much, Pete, I don't think you're meant to go in that place. Open the door is probably a bad thing. I watch Backdraft and you don't do that.
Yeah.
That tended to cause a huge fireball and the fireman died.
Mm.
It's lovely to see, though.
Mm.
They play off each other really well, and I like... Piper Laurie is just amazing, I think.
Yeah.
She's just so good at this. Because it's like, she's lured into the mill because Hank has given her the really obvious trap that she's just walked into. And it's meeting Shelley, and it's just, Catherine's whole attitude to Shelley is just hysterical, because it's like, I can't understand what you're saying, because like, she's clearly got a gag in her mouth, what do you think she's going to do?
Yeah. I do like, for a slither of humanity in Catherine, though, that when the incendiary device goes off, she could have just legged it. But she doesn't. She stops and she rescues Shelley.
Yes. I do like the fact, though, that it's even when it goes off, though, it's like, no, give me time to think. It's like, no, free Shelley first, then worry about that. But yes, it's, despite everything, and it's an interesting question of Hank, Leo, and Ben, if they would do the same thing in her position.
Yeah.
Pete, I can believe, would save Shelley immediately. The other three I'm not sure about, but Catherine pauses but does ultimately actually free her.
Mm.
So, as you said, yes, the shred of humanity is still there for her. I don't know about the other ones. I think especially the other three would be, you've seen who I am, I can't possibly let you live to tell anyone, because that'll cause too many questions. And Leo obviously already wanted her dead anyway, so...
Yeah.
Who've we got left? Or should we...
I think you've almost done everyone now.
I think we've got Lucy, Andy, and Coop to go.
And Leland.
Leland will do last, just because Leland is a whole kettle of madness.
Lucy and Andy first, then.
Lucy and Andy. So we have confirmation. It was alluded to enough last time that we had pretty much know what the call from the doctor was, so we got confirmation of that. We assume, rightly or wrongly at this stage, that her pregnancy must be the result of Andy.
It's the assumption you've got to jump to because there's been no evidence that there is anybody else.
However, we would then have to say this is a soap opera.
True.
And with the scripts being written sequentially, doesn't mean that you can't change the direction of anything quite late on. So we don't know. We assume that he is the father of the child, but we can't be sure. Again, I'm still going back to my whole, I still can't believe these two are sleeping together. I know they are, but it just does not feel plausible. They don't have that air to them. They're like 8-year-olds who somehow have adult jobs and fire guns. They do, don't they?
Pretty much, yeah.
They act like such a naive version of human relationships. It's very weird. They're adorable together, sure, but...
I did think it was jarring, and it could be an American gun culture thing that I just don't get as an English person. But it was after Andy had successfully shot Jocks, and it's just everyone's commending him about this, and then Lucy walks in and they go, oh, go on, here's your chance. It's like, yeah, because there's nothing more sexy than my partner having just shot a person.
The only thing it brings to mind, and this is just pop culture brain rot at this point, Demolition Man of all things.
That's a weird one to come back to.
Isn't it just? There's a bit, I think it's after they go to Taco Bell.
I'd forgotten about that, yeah.
Well, in some versions, though, it's dubbed to be Pizza Hut, which is even more jarring. Anyway, there's a bit after that, or one of the points, where Sandra Bullock goes to Sylvester Stallone and says there's a well-known link between ultraviolence and sexual arousal. She wants to sleep with Sylvester Stallone. This is before you get the weird headset sex that he didn't get into. But that's why the only thing I could think of where someone has said, oh yeah, sex and violence are intrinsically linked together. And it's like, yeah, I don't know if that is universal, because I think that's very much your culture, because I don't think we have that over here. Because, for a point of comparison, because we watched this literally yesterday, is Whistle.
Yes. New horror movie.
New horror movie about the Incan?
I believe they say it's Olmec in that episode,
Olmec, okay.
But technically it's based on the concept of an Aztec death whistle.
So the Aztec death whistle, you blow the whistle, anyone who hears the whistle, their death will stalk them and cause them to die how they were going to die in the future, is the premise of the film.
Essentially, it brings your death forward, so however you were going to die, however many years in the future it is, happens immediately on this entity reaching you.
Yes.
A bit like It Follows.
Yes. And we're just going to hand away the fact that there should be a lot of medical concern about how any of this makes sense when you look at the bodies afterwards. Anyway. Point of it is there's a scene where the main character is talking to her new friend about why she has the reputation she does and what happened to her in the previous life, and the friend just kisses her out of the blue, and it's like I just got through telling you how messed up my life is, and the friend responds with, everyone's a bit messed up, and they become a reasonably happy couple as far as we can tell. That feels more plausible, and it could just be that I'm more familiar with horror movie tropes where, yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens because you've got to get this relationship in before the climax, otherwise the hero basically has nothing to root for. It's
a bit different when you're doing a film, though, and you've got to make these relationships happen within an hour and a half.
Yes, you've also got, because I was going to say, I didn't feel, as much as I appreciate the relationship in Whistle, because it's actually, they're lovely together, but it feels it's moving too fast. They needed more time, and I don't think they had enough time to do it. It doesn't quite work for me. So as you say, yeah, but you've got a lot more time to create in a film versus a TV series. But it's still that kind of mindset of I've exposed myself to you makes more sense to me than you've shot a bad guy.
Yeah. Oh
my! You didn't kill him. You just brutally injured him, and this really, really gets me going. So yeah, I don't quite get it. It's probably a cultural thing. I don't know, but yeah, we are aware of it as a trope, but it never reads right to us. We just know it's code in the film for you hope your parents don't walk in on you at this point, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or sometimes your parents in the room at the same time, and you're sort of going, because fine, it's gonna stare hurt. Come on. next scene. But anyway, we have a true soap opera dynamic for next season for those two. And so we must come to Leland Palmer, who I think loses some sympathy now because he's, well, I understand why he's done it. At the same time, obviously no one's explained to him what the situation is. At the same time, he's jumped to a massive conclusion here.
And it's quite dark as well, because
It's
up until this
surprisingly
point, Leland, admittedly, he's been depressed, and we've said he doesn't have the support I feel he should have had from his community.
No, but there's a difference between seemingly being broken to active murder.
In cold blood.
In cold blood.
And it's obviously quite calculated as well, because he goes on the basis of Doc Hayward saying he's not going to be there. It's like, nah!
I did wonder, and I think it's the kind of thing you've got to let slide, especially because it's Twin Peaks, but also because it's a TV drama, of pretty sure if you set the fire alarm off in a hospital, they do try to get the patients out and don't just leave them in place.
I would assume you did, and not just, it's like, right, every man for himself. Oh, all these bedridden people, no, you're burnt. Gone.
Well, again, I hate just referring back to other things, but it makes me think a bit of The Dark Knight.
Yeah, where they do evacuate the hospital in that.
And, Heath Ledger has basically ensured, the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, it just ensures that Two-Face is the only one left in there because he shoots the person trying to get him out.
Yes.
And
can you imagine the controversy of if a hospital burnt down and all the doctors just ran out and left the patients?
Exactly.
Bit of a scandal.
I think we've got to let slide of there are Twin Peaks is meant to be fundamentally has a supernatural edge to it anyway, and that this is something that Leyland can somehow get away with. We're not quite sure why he can do that, but he can.
It's the way his face changes is what gets me, is the moment when the camera pans up and you see it's Leyland that's killed Jock, he looks distraught for a second and then it goes.
Yeah.
Like he has his usual panicked Leyland face and then he just goes stony. It's like, oh my god, Leyland's actually terrifying, apparently.
Yes. Well, I think it's, if you're familiar with some of Ray Rice's other roles, he can do psychotic surprisingly well.
Yeah.
He's not as blubbering as he's been in Twin Peaks.
I'm kind of curious how this is going to go next season when Leyland evidently will find out the fact that this isn't his daughter's killer.
No, but I mean, it also dovetails into another trope which is familiar in pop culture. And I wish there was a better demonstration of this one thing. Clueless, but that's the one that keeps coming to mind, which is the overbearing parent. Because I don't know if you remember Clueless. It's when she is dating the guy who turns out to be gay.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it, but do keep going.
It's basically an adaptation of Emma, I think, by Jane Austen.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. But basically, Alicia Silverstone is the main character, and she's dating this guy who's a bartender who turns out to be gay later on because he's not actually into her.
Okay.
And she's dressed up in like the typical short dress kind of thing to go out with him. And her father, who's Dan Hedaya from Alien Resurrection, the captain of the space station.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, him. And loads of other things. You've seen him in... Dan Hedaya's in loads of things. Usually a comic actor, and they works for this one, and he's a lawyer. I
like the fact that you have to describe these people to me in terms of action movies, so I just say, yes.
I can't think of a good comedy thing he's been... The point of this is that he sees her dressed like that and says, you can't go out dressed like that, young lady, put a jacket on.
Yeah.
And he says to the boy, look, I have a 45 and a shovel, and I can get hold of them. Bring her back safely. The overbearing parent is such a common thing in sitcoms, and especially the idea that your daughter is having sex at all is beyond the pale to a lot of TV and film parents. So Leyland Palmer killing Jacques he might be disappointed he hasn't got Laura Palmer's killer, but if he finds out what else happened, he's probably going to be perfectly happy killing Jacques.
Preserving her honour.
Yes, it's far too late, but he's got revenge for defacing his precious daughter.
Yeah, I see. It's that whole trope that you see, particularly in 90s Americana, where it's the almost militant father.
Yes.
Yeah.
What my son does is none of my business, but my daughter, no boy can touch my daughter until she's married.
Yeah.
And even then, it's questionable in some cases. But it's that double standard sexual politics thing that was rife in 80s and 90s stuff.
Like the guy who played Yondu in Mallrats.
Michael Rooker. Yes. Although he at least he accepted it happened. He was just going to get revenge for it.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine described it as basically it's the Godfather speech he gives Quint.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. See, we're referencing everything in this episode. Who thought Mallrats was going to come up? But yeah, exactly. It is that kind of...
Yeah.
It's that father, the attitude father. So you're right. I imagine that Leyland's not going to be happy to learn that Jacques, by his own confession, did not kill Laura Palmer. Was suddenly involved in some stuff of dubious... I don't know. Laura's consent in it seems to be willing, though she seemed to be going too far that time, given what the minor bird said.
I feel based on what he says versus what the minor bird says is she may have been consenting at first.
Yes, I don't think she was. It went further than she was comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's not good. So, I mean, but I think Leyland would buy into the wholesome image of Laura Palmer where she's not even conceived of sex. It's just not a concept that exists to her yet. And that later in life, and he's no idea what she gets up to in the meantime. But yes, this is Leyland Palmer doing a dark horse turn that you can't see coming. And as much as it's out the blue and nastier than any soap opera would do, because again, this is one of the weird quirks of Twin Peaks, is the plotting isn't detached from what any other soap opera would do. They're just going further with it and being more graphic than you would be allowed to do on actual daytime soap opera.
Well, yeah, I don't think Jacques Renault's description of sexual assault would have made it onto a usual thing.
No, but you could. Well, I think even the cabin, yes, the BDSM, the Flesh World magazine, all the rest of it, none of that's going to pass muster. So it's David Lynch and Mark Frost pushing the boundaries of what is even acceptable on TV. It's quite a contrast to go to Twin Peaks: The Return, where they take it the rest of the way to how streaming and cable TV now works, where stuff that was completely off the table to them before is now plausible. Like nudity you can just do in Twin Peaks now, which is just a complete no-no at this stage. Leyland committing a murder, don't think it was on anyone's bingo cards in 1990. That was a shock reveal that no one would see coming. And while we can see his motives for it, it's, this is why you don't do vigilante stuff, isn't it?
I'm going to harp on this because this is my hill to die on in Twin Peaks. But with Leyland's deterioration and Nadine's deterioration, I just don't think Twin Peaks as residents are equipped to deal with mental illness. Because you have these two people who have been self-destructing and they've just been treated as a bit of an embarrassment and kind of brushed away. And it's come to fruition in this episode where one has tried to kill herself and the other has murdered someone.
Well, it's an interesting point of is that the actual accurate reflection of America at this point in time, or is it to make a point? Because I have a sneaky suspicion that at this kind of point in time, even in America or even in the UK as well, I think mental illness as a thing was not treated seriously, was it? It as a concept it existed, but in terms of you taking it seriously and it being not your fault in that way, wasn't a thing people had a handle on. We're better at it now. Well, we are better at it, not great at it, but better. It's
something that's come to the forward just in the last week or so to be topical with this whole debacle about the gentleman with Tourette's.
Yes.
Was it the BAFTAs?
BAFTAs.
Yeah, but off the back of that, there was a Saturday Night Live sketch that's been dragged through the mud about people using Tourette's as an excuse.
Yes.
And I did see a lot of things on Reddit, my particular poison, harking back and saying, well, South Park's made this joke before and it was acceptable then. It's like, no, it's never been acceptable. We're just talking about it now.
Yes.
That's the kind of entire point of this guy's movie.
Yes. And South Park, was never non-controversial, and they deliberately stoked that every step of the way.
But in the same way, I don't know when the South Park episode aired, but maybe Tourette's wasn't something that was spoken about as wildly back then.
No, well, I remember...
And at the same time, back in Twin Peaks,
yeah,
when this was made, we weren't talking about mental health in the same way.
Yes. I don't know which way Twin Peaks is going, if that's using it for the soap opera dramatics of having these mental illnesses happening, or Mark Frost, because he's the architect of this one in particular, is trying to reflect the actual lived experience of someone with these conditions in America at that point in time. It could go either way. And I think it's the kind of thing, though, where if you ask these days, they'd probably say, yes, it's totally meant to be a reflection of things at this time, because you don't want to get into the whole, No, I think, well, whatever explanation was for when they did it.
We actually discussed a really good example of how the attitude toward mental health has changed on my channel, Adverse Camber 42, where you can still watch on YouTube, as I plug myself, both of the Psychonauts games.
Yes.
So they were two platform games that were actually made substantially far apart. It was like over a decade, wasn't it?
It was almost 20 years. It was like
Almost
17
20
or
years.
something.
But they both explore a character who's able to enter people's subconsciousness. And predominantly, it's people with mental health conditions he does. And the first game just seems so insensitive now when you're looking at it, but the second one is handled so delicately and is actually very moving in places. Where you have things like, the experience of entering the mind of an alcoholic with depression and stuff like that. It's handled really, really well. And the original has somebody with a Napoleon complex who wears a funny hat.
Yeah, it's very much it's the 80s, 90s view of mental illness. Like, there's I want to say Richard Pryor comedy where he winds up in an insane asylum, or things like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Not One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Dream Team, the one with Michael Keaton and Christopher Lloyd. And it's the view of mental illness in the 80s and 90s is very much these are lovable goofballs who would be fine if you didn't put them in an asylum.
Yeah.
And let them go out in the real world and experience real things. And the lived reality of people who've been through the system say, no, no. Like, it's deeply unpleasant, and there's medication, and it's usually to make you not go into impulses and things, not be self-destructive. You raised a good point on Psychonauts, but it's like the first one is very 80s and 90s, very just aren't mental people kooky. Oh, people with mental illness is kooky and fun and weird. And the second one is, which, as you say, much more effective. Because I remember before Psychonauts 2 came out, there was a post that did around on Tumblr where someone was absolutely furious with Tim Schafer for Psychonauts 1.
Mm.
Just they hated every single depiction in it. And I can only imagine that got back to him at some point.
I've got to admit, when I replayed it for the channel, I hadn't played it since it originally came out. So I played it as a young teenager originally.
It's not as fun the second time.
No, when you play it through the second time, it's like, oh, actually, this is really, really poor taste.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm so torn because the Milkman is still one of my favourite gags of all time, but there's no way of making that joke without it being horrendously insensitive.
Mm. But yeah, if you're curious, you can watch the full Let's Play of both of them on my Adverse Camber 42 YouTube channel. And it is interesting. It's eye-opening to see essentially how the attitudes towards mental illness has changed over actually a relatively short time between these two games.
And just be warned, the first one is not very respectful, and they do a dramatic turnaround for the second one to keep the plotline going, but also fix the attitude everyone has to it.
Yeah.
That's a surprising growth, I think, from a Tim Schafer of all people. I said that, like, Tim Schafer's had a whole lot of people complaining at him for being woke and everything. So it's like, I'm on Tim Schafer's side. He's learning. He's doing better.
Yeah.
I'm realising as we come to the end of season 1 is that Twin Peaks, because, again, I will have to point to the whole, the theories about what Twin Peaks actually is about when we get to the end of it. And it's I think we alluded to it, or I did mention it, but it's the reflection of the current TV trends is what Twin Peaks really is. And this is it reflecting the soap opera stuff back on itself in weirder or more aggressive forms.
Yeah.
So obviously the bits of other pop culture are going to have to come into this because that's where everything else is spread out from. So yeah, this is all planned. This is all we know what we're doing here. We're not winging it.
And last of all, Cooper is shot.
Cooper gets to be James Bond again in this episode, which is kind of cool.
Mm.
I did think there was a line from Cooper though that just defies explanation, which is, take the people who are keeping watch on Leo Johnson's house away from it. Like, did they miss Leo Johnson coming home and kidnapping his wife? Did you not see that bit? Or the bit where Hank turns up and shoots Leo? What are these police officers doing? Though, as you said, who are these police officers? Where have they come from?
These extra 3 police officers we've got for today, who stand at the sheriff's station for a bit and wander off, and I'm not sure we ever see them again.
No. But Cooper is shot. He doesn't want to deal with Leo Johnson. He's quite happy to have some sleep. We have no idea what order he left in that note to him.
No.
And Cooper's been shot.
In the chest, point blank.
Yep, by a mystery assailant who we looked up who this was because I couldn't quite remember, and I left very confused as to why they shot him. But we'll get into that when or if that ever comes up, because I don't know if it does.
I'm sure they'll reveal it at some point, but we'll find out.
How are we going to get that revelation? I don't know how that's going to come through, but we'll look forward to that. I feel we've run on quite long. It's not really. It's worth doing a sum up because everything's still in flux.
Yeah, but I do have something.
Oh, you have something. Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, my thing. I've been sitting on this for ages. So, as part of my intensive looking things up on Twin Peaks Reddit research that I do for every episode, I did stumble across a poll that was done on whatever channel in America this first aired on. I do not know who had Twin Peaks, to be honest.
I want to say ABC, but don't quote me on that.
But prior to this final episode of season 1, they did a viewer poll of who they thought killed Laura Palmer. And I believe, just because it doesn't make sense for this to be after this episode, that it was done to be aired with this episode, because it makes reference to at least one character who's now dead. So therefore, I don't think it was done after the final episode.
Anyone better on Jocks is going, oh, come on!
Yeah. But yeah, there is a poll. Which way do you want to go? Do you want me to start with the least likely or the most likely?
Let's start with least likely. Who do we consider beyond not possible?
Okay, there are 2 people with 1% each.
Okay.
Josie Packard, and it does clarify, because it cracks me up a bit, Josie Packard, sawmill owner.
Yes, you've just forgotten who she is. I mean, to be fair, she is not the most tangential, but very on the low ebb of interactions with Laura, so yeah, I can see that.
And the other 1% is Dale Cooper, FBI agent.
Would that be a twist?
Okay, next up, there are 2 with 3%.
Okay.
One of them is Mr. Palmer, Laura's father. He doesn't even get a name in this poll.
Do we not remember Leyland's name?
We did. He's the only one who isn't properly named in this poll.
I can wonder if they... I would be very curious to see if the percentage jumped after this episode, just for the fact he is capable of murder.
Yeah. And the other 3 was suicide.
Oh, okay.
She just killed herself.
Do they think that Sarah Palmer was more likely to kill her than Leyland? Is Sarah Palmer on the list?
No, Sarah Palmer is not on the list.
So she's... okay. So hopefully she's not high
I was just wondering how you got that from suicide, to be honest.
No, I was thinking, is she high up the list?
No,
she's not
Sarah
on the list
Palmer's
at all.
not on the list at all. Okay, next we're up to 2 with 4%.
Yep.
Benjamin Horn, hotel owner.
I don't know what... Yeah, okay, but I don't know what Ben Horn he'd get out of it.
And the other one with 4% is Catherine Martell, sawmill manager, which again, I'm not sure why you'd...
Why she would... Yeah. Like, I think the problem with both of them is Catherine Martell has, as far as we can tell, never even talked to Laura Palmer once.
I think it's the mentality of they're both kind of villainous characters, so therefore some people have weighed in that the obvious baddie has done it.
I guess as well, Catherine would be the fact that she didn't care to shut down the sawmill as kind of in tribute. Ben Horn, though, is he doesn't like murder flippantly. He'd do this for a reason, and unless he wanted to total Leyland, I don't know why he'd do it.
Well, there's been no indication that something happened at the One-Eyed Jacks that would bring him into her orbit.
No, because she never went there, as far as we can tell. She would have wound up there eventually, I think, but she didn't get there.
Okay, 6% of viewers believed she was still alive, which we've talked about at length before.
And we there was more than one reason why you could actually... There's still plausible you could pull that off at this stage. Maddie is too suspicious in and of herself for you to not say you could do that.
8% of people said James Hurley, motorcyclist.
No. You look at that person, the perpetually bewildered boy, and think he's capable of murder.
Even Cooper kind of wrote him off immediately.
Yeah, no. No.
Okay, there are 2 with 11%.
Okay.
You have Bobby Briggs, football player. Bobby has a lot of motive, to be fair.
He has a lot of motive, and he I can't see him quite being at the level of murder, but I can see him veering that direction. But again, it doesn't work with his reaction after the funeral. And his reaction before the funeral. Any of his reactions due to Laura. And
the other one, which is why I believe it was done prior to this episode, is Jacques Renault, bartender, at 11%.
Yeah. And we're going to take Cooper's word for it that if he's telling the truth, he definitely didn't do it. And also, he's dead.
And now you're into the top 2.
Oh, I disagree.
So, at 17%, we have Leo Johnson, truck driver.
Which is what Saturday Night Live cottoned on to, as the most logical person.
In the SNL sketch, he admits to it as well.
Ah, okay.
Have you not seen it?
I haven't.
I'll find it for you. Yeah. It's brilliant. But yes, Leo Johnson in the Saturday Night Live sketch insists he is the killer and Cooper won't believe him. And the last one, with a whopping 31%. Who do you think's missing?
Well, I think I actually remember you already told me.
Oh,
this
I've
one,
already told you.
You've already told me. I know
Sadly,
this.
sadly. It is Dr. Jacoby, psychiatrist. I can't even say that. Psychiatrist.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a collar on there. I imagine that this was actually 2 episodes back they did this. Just because
They must have announced it before the time, because this was the days before the internet.
Yeah, but I mean, just his reaction previous episode to seeing the tape of Laura. If he was the killer, his reaction would have been quite different.
Mm.
That's not a man who killed someone and it's surprisingly sprung up from the dead again. This is someone's come back from the dead.
I don't know. I'm wondering now if you could have read into it, actually, that he's shocked because he believes he's killed her.
Yeah, I suppose you could have done, but to me, none of his reactions felt like that.
But I feel that based on this episode, we can strongly rule out both Jacoby and Jock now.
Yes.
So that's knocked 2 of our high contenders off the list. But it was curious that as we were nearing the end of season 1, this is what the fan base thought.
Very curious. And those of you in the know, obviously, you can be very smug. For everyone else who are joining us on this journey, just bear all those people in mind. I don't think there's a bad pick in there.
I'd just like to high-five all my bros who, like me, guessed it really early.
I would say I think the Dale Cooper one it's conceptually fascinating, but it's not the story to do that in. I mean, I suppose the logic you've got there is the fact that Cooper arrives too soon. And that he knows about the letters and the previous victim. I think where it falls apart is the rest of the FBI people who interacted with him should be asking more questions. And they're not. Albert and Gordon should have said something if this is where they were going, they need to have said something sooner. But they haven't, so I think that writes Cooper off. Plus, it just defies explanation. Well, it doesn't defy explanation. It's kind of weird that this is back then, because looking ahead to the future, you can absolutely see where this has come from.
Yeah.
It's kind of fell through a time warp, oddly. Anyway, so I don't think it's much sense of a recap because this is an evolving story. So next time, we'll head off to season 2, which is a double-length episode, so that's going to take us a while.
Can you remember what this one's called?
It's something like there's something to do with the giant.
It's interesting, I actually discovered that when this was first broadcast, they didn't have episode names. These are all taken from the German broadcast, which did name the episodes, and Americans have now adopted those names.
It makes sense, because I never heard any of these in context until this most recent run-through.
So season 2, episode 1 is called May the Giant Be With You.
I knew he was in there somewhere. If you'd like to get hold of us, our email address is thingsargettingstrange42@gmail.com.
Alternatively, you can hook me up on social media, and please do if you'd like me to present anything you've got on the go at the start of an episode, especially if it is X-Files, Twin Peaks, or Garth Marenghi's Dark Place related. You can find us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at GetStrange42, and on Facebook by searching for Things Are Getting Strange, a Twin Peaks Rewatch podcast. Also, if you're not sick of my voice right now, I do stream live on Twitch TV Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 PM and Saturdays at 5 PM GMT. My username there is AdverseCamber42, and at the moment I am playing Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name on PlayStation 5, Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories on PlayStation 4, and Dead Letter Department on Steam.
Our theme music is envisioned by Kevin MacLeod. You can find it on Computech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember...
He's too stupid to lie.